You know, a skill set that took me years to understand and to learn the importance of and train myself to actually be pretty good at it is to listen, to simply be present, shut up, shut your mind off, and listen, because this is a very, very important skill set. And we all, as humans, we have this characteristic that we're always thinking about what we want to say next. Our brain's always talking to us. It's always, and sometimes when I'm thinking about, when an idea comes into me and I'm thinking about sharing that idea, often we get to a point where we're just waiting for the person that we're communicating with, or persons, to stop or to pause long enough that I can get my idea out, because it's so important to me anyway. And so what happens is, and look, I still have to work on this. I listen, but one of my weaknesses, one of my faults, if you will, I believe that I understand what this person's conveying real quickly. And often I do know what they're going to convey. And sometimes what I'll do, and it's a bad habit, sometimes I'll just go ahead and answer the question without pausing for a second to let them know I heard you. So, and sometimes I can be wrong if I don't listen long enough. And so this is something I recognize. You should recognize what your flaws are. It's okay, we all have flaws, as long as I recognize it. So if someone's speaking, if I've got a client in front of me, a prospect in front of me, and I've asked them something and they're focused on their attention, giving me their message, I have to sit back, be quiet, and not think about what I'm saying next. I have to listen to what they're saying, and I have to understand the context of it, listen to the words, because what they're saying and what they're meaning, if you listen, you may pick up something different that they're trying to relay, but they can't verbally get it out right. So you can come back to them and say, I think I heard you right. Is this what you're saying? And when you do that and you convey it right, they're going, yes, kind of like, thank you for having the courtesy to listen. And so don't do what I do sometimes, is they're speaking and I'm listening. I got you. Well, okay, maybe you do. And maybe you're in a hurry. I'm one of those people that I move. And that's me, but I have to slow down and let them finish. And again, sometimes people will catch me on it, and that's okay. Let me know, critique me, just like you need people to critique you when something happens. But that skill set is going to allow you to be able to manage your practice members so much better, to respect their thoughts, and especially when you're in a situation where you're in an initial consult and you're moving to move this person into your practice onto a program, that listening is king. If you're not picking up what they're saying, if all we're thinking about, and this can be a challenge for some of you that are trying to get this new skill set down on report of findings and understanding with the synopsis, the scripting, and all of that, sometimes we're right on. Hey, I'm kicking it. I've got it. And so you talk about something and they finish their sentence, and so you go, okay, I'm moving to the next place next, without really hearing what they said, knowing that no, you can't move to the next place yet. If you listen to what they said, you haven't fully addressed their challenge. So I want you to be careful with that. It's better to be quiet. It's better to pause. It's better to say fewer words when you can, and allow that person to say what they need to do. Now, granted, there'll be times when, and as doctors and practitioners, we know that sometimes this person in front of you can have the tendency sometimes to ramble. And I've given you, some of you guys know some of the keys to this, where you can simply say, if they're rambling and you need to move on, you can simply say, hey, can you hold that for 1 second? Thank you so much for sharing that. That's very important to me. I want to write that down. So what you've disrupted the pattern. You've told them thank you. It's important. They know you're listening. I'm writing it. It's important. And now I'm back in control, and I can simply say, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to come back to this. Let me ask you this. And now I'm back in control again. So that's one thing you can interrupt. But the only way you can do that is by listening and to acknowledge that you've been listening. So no matter what your situation is, whether it's with a new consult, whether it's with a staff member, whether it's with your wife or your husband, or whether it's with your child, it's important to be the leader here and say, out of respect, I need to just not worry about saying anything. I need to listen. I've also had mentors, and not only personal ones I've known, but I've read in books, that the person that typically at the table that's saying the least words is the one that's bringing the most of the knowledge in and probably has the most quality, unique things to say when they finally open their mouth, because they're just bringing it in, bringing it in, bringing it in. And then when they finally speak, you're like, wow, where did that come from? Well, it came from listening. And by listening, they gained the attitude and understanding of everyone at the table, or so to speak. So think about that. Speak last. So hopefully this helps. Work on that. Work on that. It's taken me years. I'm still working on it. So we're going to fall down because, again, as human beings, we have this tendency and this characteristic that we want to speak. We want to. What we have to say is very important, and often it is important, but listening is going to gain you a whole lot more respect, trust, and you're going to build a lot better relationships with that. So hopefully this helps.